Welcome, everyone, to this briefing brought to you by the Israel Defense and Security Forum, IDSF. In Hebrew name is a Bitronistim. IDSF is the leading Israeli organization advocating for strong national security to defend the state of Israel. It is a great privilege and pleasure to be joined today by the founder and chairman of IDSF, Brigadier General Amir Avivi. General, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you very much, Moshe. Today we are broadcasting from our offices. You see our guys here. So hopefully it won't be too noisy.
Excellent. So why don't we start with just a rundown on what is happening right now in this war, both on the Gaza front and on the Lebanon front?
Well, I can say before I go into details that I'll be speaking in the context of us meeting with the Prime Minister a few days ago to discuss this issue, and also having a short discussion with the Minister of Defense before he flew to the States. Of course, we had also a very in-depth assessment, actually two events where we really went into details about everything that's going on. We have several officers that are really in the most crucial places at the moment in the Northern Command, Southern Command, in the Air Force, of course, all of them in reserve. So I think we have a good picture. Not everything we can talk about, but I'll try to really convey the situation, the understandings that we have, the things that we can talk about. So in Gaza, overall, the fight in Rafah is intensifying, and the IDF is continuously attacking. It takes time because Rafah is full of tunnels, and every area that the IDF controls, it needs to really investigate and go underground and find the terrorists and destroy the infrastructure. But step by step, all of Rafah is being conquered. And at the same time, the IDF is operating along the Egyptian border on the Gazan side, really to find all the tunnels in this area, and there are many of them connecting Egypt to Gaza. This week, the IDF also targeted the guy who is number 4 in Hamas. He was chief of operations and commanded the whole Nukhba on the 7th of October. It seems that he was killed in the IDF attack, but we are not 100% sure yet. And the operations in Gaza continue. The IDF believes that within a few weeks, Hamas as a military force will be destroyed. Doesn't mean that there won't be any terrorists in Gaza. It means they won't be organized in battalions, brigade, or companies, but scattered in the area, and the operations will have to continue. So at a certain stage, the cabinet and the army will have to take a decision how many forces to leave in Gaza and send all the remaining forces north to the Lebanese border. I would assume that in Gaza, they will leave the Gaza division, of course, which will deal mostly defending, and at least one division that will be offensive inside Gaza in the different areas in the south, in the center, and in the north. And all the remaining forces of the IDF will be sent north. Some of them, or many of them, are already north. And then really the moment will come where Israel will have to decide, do we have a diplomatic solution, or we are going to war, a big war in Lebanon? Around that, we've seen in the last week Minister Ron Dermer and the head of the National Security Council, Israeli National Security Council, visiting Washington, talking about these issues. We've seen also Netanyahu that mainly addressed the issue of the munitions. And here I want to explain what the problem is. At the beginning of the war, everything was sent to us. in a mode of urgency. I mean, when the administration and the Congress want to send something urgently, they have a procedure how to do it urgently. But when the administration wanted to slow down the aid, they simply transferred it from emergency to regular assistance, and this slows months and months the process, and this is very damaging and dangerous for Israel. So when you ask the administration, they will say, what do you mean? We're not stalling anything. But yes, they are stalling it because they're not doing it urgently. They are doing it in a different way. And now, after these discussions and following the visit of Dermer, and also now that the Minister of Defense and representatives of the Army are also in Washington, I'm hoping that this will change dramatically, and we'll see everything that we need flowing and flowing fast to Israel, because it seems that there is a big war ahead. I believe that if we go into war with Lebanon, it won't be a very, very long war, because it's going to be very, very intensive. But it's going to be a challenging war. Unlike Hamas, where we can say we want to destroy completely Hamas as a military and governmental entity, this goal is not realistic in Lebanon, because the IDF is not going to conquer all of Lebanon. What's realistic to do is really hit hard all the capabilities of Hezbollah and destroy Hezbollah in South Lebanon, not in all of Lebanon, and make them withdraw from this area in a way that will enable Israel to bring our citizens back safely to their homes in the north. This week, and this maybe can tell us something about the impact IDSF is doing, the Prime Minister appointed 2 major generals to lead the reconstruction and the big projects in the south and in the north. One general is Major General Iftach Rontal. Iftach Rontal is a member of IDSF and regularly also participates in all our assessments and important meetings. And the other general is Chayni Maron. He commanded the Navy and also a member of IDSF. So we're very, very proud of our generals that were appointed by the Prime Minister to lead probably the most important mission at the moment on the civil side, and it's really taking care of the North and the South and helping in all aspects to rebuild the communities, the education, the houses, assist the municipalities and the regional councils and so on. So this is what we're seeing at the moment. One of the big questions, of course, if there is a war in the north, is whether Iran will intervene or not. And we don't have a good answer. I mean, they might do so with taking a big danger that the US will intervene also and things will go out of control for them. And they might not. They might not. We don't know. This is something we'll have to wait and see what will happen. So at the moment, on one hand, the eyes are on Rafah and Gaza, and really the really important need to destroy Hamas as a military and governmental entity. And by the way, to do it from a governmental point of view, we need to take control of the aid. I've been talking about that a lot with the army, with the government and everybody. But we don't know when it will happen and if it will happen. The Prime Minister addressed that on TV in the last few days, and I'm hoping that the army will have the common sense to really do so, because without that, we're going to really prolong the war in Gaza. Moshe, please.
General, just a couple follow-up questions before we move to the next part of our program. Can you just elaborate a little bit on the importance of the IDF of Israel taking over the aid in Gaza. What would that mean, and how would that change the trajectory of Hamas's role in Gaza?
So one thing is really destroying the military capabilities. The other thing is really stopping the control of Hamas over the society. And Hamas is controlling the society through education. It's controlling the society on media. It's controlling the society by controlling the aid and really deciding where it will go. Because every truck, everything that goes into Gaza, they simply come with their weapons, they seize these trucks, and they manage them. So as far as the Palestinian society, they are being controlled by Hamas. And this is a huge problem. It doesn't enable us to really disconnect the connection between Hamas and the society. And in order to do so, the IDF must replace Hamas, must be the one that controls everything that's going on in Gaza. And first and foremost, the aid. And when this will happen, together with destroying the military capabilities of Hamas, then there will be an atmosphere inside Gaza and an understanding that we are controlling. And following that, the chances of citizens giving us intelligence, directing us to where are the hostages, possibly also telling us where the leaders of Hamas are. There is a huge price on their heads. And I'm sure there will be people who would be happy to get the money, but they need to know that we are controlling and not Hamas. And this is why it's so important for the hostages, for the ability to destroy the leadership of Hamas. And of course, it will safeguard our soldiers. It's easier to deal with logistics than equipping our enemies again and again and fighting them.
And then speaking about Lebanon for a moment, obviously the U.S. is a great ally of Israel, but practically speaking, what strategic best interests does the U.S. have to be involved and support Israel if there were an escalation, a direct war with Hezbollah? Why would the U.S., so to speak, want to get more involved?
Well, the U.S. basically would like not to have a war, would like everything to be quiet, would like a ceasefire. But the kind of ceasefire that the administration is thinking about, it's a ceasefire that basically means Israel will lose the war. It's not an option for us because it will enable Hamas to rebuild itself. We cannot go out of Gaza. And in the north, if really we'll have a situation where Hezbollah is shooting Tel Aviv and major cities, it's obvious that the U.S. will have to stand very, very firmly and strongly with Israel. It cannot afford having its one and only serious ally in the Middle East being endangered in such a way. And in this sense, I am sure that the administration will do what it needs to do to defend Israel and assist in every way they can.
Thank you, General. Let's now move on to something very important for all of our viewers and supporters, everyone tuned in today. If you joined our briefing last week on Thursday, you heard about the campaign that we are running to build a pre-army program in Moshav Tikuman, the Gaza border. It's a pre-army academy that will be exclusively run and educated by people like General Avivi to really inspire the next generation of Israel leaders. And I'm going to put a link in the briefing right now for anyone who wants to participate, partner with us to defend Israel, to build the next generation of IDF leaders who won't make the mistakes of October 7th. We'll put it in the chat. We'll put it on the screen. And today is the last day of the campaign, so no more waiting. If you donated on Thursday, Friday, amazing. You did it last week. You did it earlier this week, but today is the day to really open up your heart, your pocketbook, and support us here in Israel. I'm going to go to the general in a second, but just one thought that I did share on Thursday, which is there's this idea in charity, give until you hurt, give until it hurts, that it's very easy to give a few dollars here and there, but to really do something meaningful, have an impact to you, you have to sometimes give until it hurts. And here in Israel, give until it hurts has a very different meaning than in the States, because people are quite literally giving their sons, their daughters, their spouses, their friends to this war effort. We here on the ground are fighting in person, and all of you abroad who love Israel, who support Israel, we urge you to give a little bit until it hurts in a different way to support all that we are doing. General, but let me ask you an important question. We're in the middle of a war, and all of a sudden, we at IDSF, a national security NGO, are focused on education. Can you explain why that is so critical at this moment?
Well, I think that everything depends on the young generation, and they are the ones actually fighting in the battlefield to safeguard all of us. And we have been educating in many pre-army programs throughout the last 4 years. And one of the things that I was really worried when I saw the kind of education that is done in many of the pre-army programs is that they want to give a taste of everything, and then these guys many times they get lectures from Breaking Silence and organizations like that, and sometimes it makes me feel like there's not a very clear shape of hearts and minds and clear education that will really prepare them not only for the first years of the army, but shape their way of thinking in the long term. This really created the motivation in IDSF to say, okay, we really need to build a program that will create the future leaders of Israel. Because we see what happens when you have top echelon that is not really connected the way it should to the core values, to the understanding what it means for Israel to be able to defend itself by itself and not be dependent as it is today. Generation of that really understand what is a decisive win and wants to win and are willing to fight and sacrifice and understand the challenges of national security and understand that really the most important thing in national security is the national values. It's our connection to Judaism, to Zionism, to the land of Israel, to the people of Israel, a devotion to this people and land. And this needs to be given to the young generation in order to build an amazing future for Israel. And many times it's very easy to stick to just to the present, to what's happening now. And I think that really impactful organizations and people, they think long term. And everything we think about is for generations to come. We look in the long term, even when we do everyday fight in the media and on social media and so on, always the focus, the vision is long term. And this is why education is so important. Now, there is an aspect of the pre-army program of our Mechina that is also very relevant now, because what is unique about this Mechina is also that it's built to build the strength and resolution of the people of Tkuma, of the Moshav, because all of the population in the south and in the north have been evacuated. They've had very rough time. Their friends were kidnapped and killed. They're under trauma. Some don't want to come back. So bringing this young generation into the Moshav to help safeguard the Moshav, to help pick up fruits in the fields, to help in the education of the young generation in the Moshav, and to help the elderly in the Moshav. All the volunteering that they are going to do is in Tkuma. And we need many of these pre-army programs in the different towns to really build the resilience of the towns, and also to encourage this young generation in the future to want to come and live in this area and not in Tel Aviv or in the center of Israel, but really understand how important it is to really realize the Zionist dream and live in the Negev and live in the Galilee and also in Jordan Samaria or the Jordan Valley, in the areas that really defend the heart of Israel from all sides. And we're starting with the area in the surrounding of Gaza and Tkuma. The Tkuma people are very, very excited about this program. The council, everyone is involved in helping us build this pre-army program. And it's the first pre-army program, and I'm hoping one of many that will build along the borders to really strengthen the towns and also prepare the youngsters for service. Also, I think one other thing that is very unique for us to do it, we are a grassroots movement. We have an ability to keep in touch and build the relationship with this young generation all their lives. Once they become member of IDSF, they are members of IDSF. They follow us on social media. They are part of the events. They get the weekly mail. And they participate in webinars. So unlike many other mechinos that, they educate, they do a great job, they educate for 1 year, but then, the people go and that's it. And maybe once in a while they do like an event in the mechina. No, here is connected to a grassroots movement. It's a different kind of impact and really in the very, very long term. And so we are very, very, very excited about that. And I really, really encourage all of you. This is the most dynamic thing you can do to really strengthen the people in Tkuma, in Otef Aza, in the surroundings of Gaza, and really impact the education of the young generation. This is how you really make an impact and really make a change. And want you all to be part of this amazing, amazing project that is going to happen in the coming months.
General, let me ask you a hard question. After the Yom Kippur War, many soldiers or people who lived during that era grew up to have an attitude towards Israel's security that is very different than yours. As a result of their experiences on Yom Kippur, I'm wondering, how will things be different now? All of these young fighters in Gaza, are they going to grow up and just replicate what happened with those who exited from the Yom Kippur? What are you going to do different? How is the Mechina going to operate differently to create a different value set?
Yeah, one of the leaders of the labor before the country was created was Berel Katzenelson. And one day he saw that the kibbutzim decided they are not going to mention anymore Tisha B'Av, the destruction, not only of our two temples, but really the destruction of our sovereignty over the land. It was a national destruction that happened with the Babylonians kicked us out of the land, and then later on the Romans. So, and he said, he wrote a letter to the kibbutzim saying to them, you need to understand that roots cannot grow on asphalt. And I think that we understand that if you want roots to grow, it needs to be on a very fertile soil. And this is what we're offering. We're offering a fertile soil that we know how to fertilize endlessly by being a grassroots movement. And this was not done after the Yom Kippur War. After the Yom Kippur War, the society became tired and said, we are willing to do anything to have peace. Let's give them the land. Let's give up. Let's no matter what happens, we want to buy quiet. This is not the way to thrive in the land of Israel. You want to thrive, you need energies, you need resolution, you need to be strong, you need to be connected to your values, you need will. And will, which is the most powerful force in the universe, you can have will only if you are really connected to your values and you know what you're fighting for and why you are here. And this is what we're going to really focus on values and on our professional understanding of the national security needs of the people of Israel. And of course, also understanding the culture and the challenges that we are facing, looking at our enemies and what they really want and what they aspire to and what their education is and so on. So again, I really, really encourage you to join us in this really amazing project, one of many that we're going to build in the coming years.
Brigadier General Amir Avivi, thank you for the briefing today and for your leadership and everything that you do, including in this campaign. And I just want to let everyone know that we here at IDSF are people of action. We don't waste time. This school is opening up in the coming months. We are building right now. We're not wasting any time. So everyone who's wondering, when are you going to, it's happening right now. So the more that we are able to bring funds in order to speed up and make this building happen, make that first class be able to start on time, it really all comes down to the success of this campaign. Thank you to everyone who has donated thus far. Thank you to everyone who is donating right now. Again, the link is in the chat. The link is on the screen. You can scan that QR code. And we do have special naming opportunities for this pre-army program for anyone who is interested in giving us a major gift to really create a legacy for your family connected to this institution. Please reach out. We are more than happy to speak in greater detail about that. Thank you, everyone, for your support. Thank you for joining this briefing. We will be back with you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. here in Israel. Until then, stay safe, stay strong. Take care, everyone.